Hello, fellow nerds. Today we are continuing the Druid Spell List, and if I remember correctly, we left off with the second level spells last time. So today we're going to have a look at third level spells as listed in the player's handbook. The first one is Call Lightning. A storm cloud appears in the shape of a cylinder that is 10 feet tall with a 60-foot radius, centered on a point you can see within range directly above you. The spell fails if you can't see a point in the air where the storm cloud could appear. For example, if you are in a room that can't accommodate the cloud. When you cast the spell, choose a point you can see under the cloud. A bolt of lightning flashes down from the cloud to that point. Each creature within 5 feet of that point must make a dexterity saving throw. A creature takes 3d10 lightning damage on a failed save, or half as much damage on a successful one. On each of your turns until the spell ends, you can use your action to call down lightning in this way again, targeting the same point or a different one. If you are outdoors in stormy conditions when you cast this spell, the spell gives you control over the existing storm instead of creating a new one. Under such conditions, the spell's damage increases by 1d10. When you cast this spell using a spell slot of 4th level or higher, the damage increases by 1d10 for each slot above 3rd. Conjure animals. You summon fey spirits that take the form of beasts and appear in unoccupied spaces that you can see within range. Choose one of the following options for what appears. 1 beast of challenge rating 2 or lower, 2 beasts of challenge rating 1 or lower, 4 beasts of challenge rating half or lower, 8 beasts of challenge rating a quarter or lower. Each beast is also considered fey and it disappears when it drops to 0 hit points or when the spell ends. The summoned creatures are friendly to you and your companions. Roll initiative for the summoned creatures as a group, which has its own turn. They obey any verbal commands that you issue to them. If you don't issue any commands to them, they defend themselves from hostile creatures, but otherwise take no actions. When you cast this spell using certain higher level spell slots, you choose one of the summoning options above and more creatures appear. Twice as many with a 5th level spell slot, 3 times as many with a 7th level spell slot, and 4 times as many with a 9th level spell slot. Next is the Daylight spell. A 60-foot radius sphere of light spreads out from a point you choose within range. The sphere is bright light and sheds dim light for an additional 60 feet. If you choose a point on an object you are holding or one that isn't being worn or carried, the light shines from the object and moves with it, completely covering the affected object with an opaque object such as a bowl or helm blocks the light. If any of this spell's area overlap with an area of darkness created by a spell of 3rd level or lower, the spell that created the darkness is dispelled. Dispel magic. Choose one creature, object, or magical effect within range. Any spell of 3rd level or lower on the target ends. For each spell of 4th level or higher on the target, make an ability check using your spellcasting ability. The DC equals 10 plus the spell's level. On a successful check, the spell ends. When you cast this spell using a spell slot of 4th level or higher, you automatically end the effect of a spell on the target if the spell's level is equal to or less than the level of the spell slot you used. Feign death. You touch a willing creature and put it into a cataleptic state that is indistinguishable from death. For the spell's duration, which is 1 hour, or until you use an action to touch the target and dismiss the spell, the target appears dead to all outward inspection and to spells used to determine the target's status. The target is blinded and incapacitated, and its speed drops to 0. The target has resistance to all damage except psychic damage. If the target is diseased or poisoned when you cast the spell, or becomes diseased or poisoned while under the spell's effect, the disease and poison have no effect until the spell ends. Melt into stone. You step into a stone object or surface large enough to fully contain your body, melding yourself on all the equipment you carry with the stone for the duration. Using your movement, you step into the stone at a point you can touch. Nothing of your presence remains visible or otherwise detectable by non-magical senses. While merged with the stone, you can't see what occurs outside it, and any wisdom, perception checks you make to hear sounds outside it are made with disadvantage. You remain aware of the passage of time and can cast spells on yourself while merged in the stone. You can use your movement to leave the stone where you entered it, which ends the spell. You otherwise can't move. Minor physical damage to the stone doesn't harm you, but its partial destruction or a change in its shape to the extent that you no longer fit within it expels you and deals 6d6 bludgeoning damage to you. The stone's complete destruction or transmutation into a different substance expels you and deals 50 bludgeoning damage to you. If expelled, you fall prone in an unoccupied space closest to where you first entered. Plant growth. This spell channels vitality into plants within a specific area. There are 2 possible uses for the spell, granting either immediate or long-term benefits. If you cast this spell using one action, choose a point within range. All normal plants in a 100-foot radius centered on that point become thick and overgrown. A creature moving through the area must spend 4 feet of movement for every 1 foot it moves. You can exclude 1 or more areas of any size within the spelled area from being affected. If you cast this spell over 8 hours, you enrich the land. All plants in a half-mile radius centered on a point within range become enriched for 1 year. The plants yield twice the normal amount of food when harvested. Protection from energy. For the duration, the willing creature you touch has resistance to one damage type of your choice: acid, cold, fire, lightning, or thunder. Sleet Storm. Until the spell ends, freezing rain and sleet fall in a 20-foot tall cylinder with a 40-foot radius, centered on a point you choose within range. The area is heavily obscured, and exposed flames in the area are doused. The ground in the area is covered with slick ice, making it difficult terrain. When a creature enters the spell's area for the first time, or starts its turn there, it must make a dexterity saving throw. On a fail save, it falls prone. Faceplant. If a creature starts its turn in the spell's area and is concentrating on a spell, the creature must make a successful Constitution saving throw against your spell save DC or lose concentration. Speak with plants. The stereotypical Druid spell. You imbue plants within 30 feet of you with a limited sentience and animation, giving them the ability to communicate with you and follow your simple commands. You can question plants about events in the spell's area within the past day, gaining information about creatures that have passed, weather, and other circumstances. You can also turn difficult terrain caused by plant growth into ordinary terrain that lasts for the duration. Or you can turn ordinary terrain, where plants are present, into difficult terrain that lasts for the duration, causing vines and branches to hinder pursuers, for example. Plants might be able to perform other tasks on your behalf at the GM's discretion. The spell doesn't enable plants to uproot themselves and move about, but they can freely move branches, tendrils, and stalks. If a plant creature is in the area, you can communicate with it as if you shared a common language, but you gain no magical ability to influence it. The spell can cause the plants created by the Entangle spell to release a restrained creature. Well, that's helpful. Water breathing. This spell grants up to 10 willing creatures you can see within range the ability to breathe underwater until the spell ends, which is after 24 hours. Affected creatures also retain the normal mode of respiration. Water Walk. This spell grants the ability to move across any liquid surface, such as water, acid, mud, snow, quicksand, or lava, as if it were harmless, solid ground. Creatures crossing molten lava can still take damage from the heat, though. Up to 10 willing creatures can see within range gain this ability for the duration of 1 hour. If you target a creature submerged in a liquid, the spell carries the target to the surface of the liquid at a rate of 60 feet per round. Oh, so it's a great rescue spell. Interesting. And the last third level Druid spell, Wind Wall. A wall of strong wind rises from the ground at a point you choose within range. You can make the wall up to 50 feet long, 15 feet high, and 1 foot thick. You can shape the wall in any way you choose, so long as it makes one continuous path along the ground. The wall lasts for the duration of 1 minute. When the wall appears, each creature within its area must make a strength saving throw. A creature takes 3d8 bludgeoning damage on a failed save, or half as much damage on a successful one. The strong wind keeps fog, smoke, and other gases at bay. Small or smaller flying creatures or objects can't pass through the wall. Loose, lightweight materials brought into the wall fly upward. Arrows, bolts, and other ordinary projectiles launched at targets behind the wall are deflected upwards and automatically miss. Boulders hurled by giants or siege engines and similar projectiles are unaffected. Creatures and gaseous form can't pass through the wall. So much for the 3rd level Druid spell as listed in the player's handbook. I have been taking a lot of mental notes. As you know, or maybe remember, I am preparing for my dwarven fighter's inevitable death, and my backup character is going to be a druid. I'm awaiting a new character sheet any day now. So this is great preparation for when the moment finally comes. I hope you found this relaxing. Maybe you learned something. And I hope you will join me for the 4th level spells in the next video. Until then, bye bye fellow nerds.